Good afternoon, Your Honor, opposing counsel. The year is 2020, and we are at a crossroads. The year is 2020, and we are at a crossroads. If we rewind the clock 112 years, the Ford Model T was just released to the public. In a world where horses and buggies dominated the road, it was common practice for pedestrians to just cross the street. The horses, being living creatures, could sense the crossing pedestrian and aim to slow down on their own. Needless to say, a car doesn't simply slow down on their own. It is up to the discretion of the driver. Now, as lawsuits began to pile up, it became evident that the laws simply needed to change. In today's world, it is ludicrous to cross the street without looking both ways, because our society saw the problem and rose to face the challenge. Now, if we bring the clock back to the present, the year 2020, the issue of cyberbullying is one that our society has not yet risen to face. Just as how in 1908 pedestrians were being hit by the first cars, in the year 2020, the lives of our youth are being destroyed by the new phase that school harassment has taken. That is why we are here today, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Parker Logan, along with my co-counsels, Ella Palagruda and Tori Reed. We are here for the plaintiff, Ms. Addison Babbage. We are here to tell her story. Now, Addison was a stellar young student who attended Ruffed Grouse High School. She was a star chess player, but in the years of 2017 through 2018, she became one of the many victims of a brutal onslaught of online harassment. Now, she sought help, but received none. Her mental state deteriorated, but she was offered no solution. Eventually, it culminated in a complete mental breakdown where she destroyed equipment in her school's chess lab. Now, there was one obvious question to be brought from the story. Could this have been mitigated? Could this tragic event have been avoided almost entirely? Was there a protocol in place to recognize Addison's struggle and give her the proper care that she needed? The answer is a definitive yes. Now, we are here today to discuss negligence. Now, negligence is defined as failure to properly do something, so failure to do the proper thing. Now, we are here with Ms. Babbage to say that the defendant, Ruffed Grouse High School, was negligent in their duty to protect the defendant, Addison Babbage, from her cyberbullying. She is here with us today to testify as to the terrible ordeal that she went through, along with her pleas of help and how they were ignored. That brings us to the administration of Ruffed Grouse High School. Now, Ruffed Grouse's environment for learning has been plagued with cyberbullying and harassment for years. Naturally, there were policies in place, protocols designed to help curb this issue. Mackenzie Zeus is our second witness and a school administrator, and he is here to testify as to the nature of these policies. He will testify as to what needs to be done in order to accomplish what is set out by these policies, the baseline for what needs to be done. He will also testify as to how these policies were blatantly ignored by the school. Finally, our third witness is an expert, Mr. Sloan Atanasoff. Sloan Atanasoff is here, reviewed all of the case materials, along with given plenty of counseling to Addison Babbage, and stands firmly with the plaintiff in the negligence expressed by Ruffed Grouse High School. Now, you will see today that Ruffed Grouse had a chance, nay, multiple chances to help this young girl, but they failed. Not because they didn't know what to do, not because it was difficult. No, they failed because everything they had was in their grasp, but they simply let go. We will prove to you today that the school knew exactly where the bullying was taking place, and it was reported to them over 5 times by different individuals in the school community, but they did nothing. Now, this is a civil case, so all that is required is a preponderance of evidence. Now, what this entails is, in order to find the defendant liable, it requires only, if the scales tip slightly in the favor of the plaintiff, then you must find the defendant liable. If our evidence today proves to you that the defendant is more likely than not responsible for Addison's breakdown because of their negligence, then they will be liable in this case. Now, as I've said before, the purpose of our trial here today is to prove that Ruffed Grouse High School was negligent in their treatment of Addison. We will prove that not only are they negligent, but they were liable. The year is 1908, and they walked Addison into that intersection. Now it is up to us to rise and face that challenge.